Yes, it's that time again. Vintage Story's big update for the year is here in pre-release. This is a massive update with new mechanics, graphic changes, and the big one, you can fish. Yep, no more fish punching. Now you can use a fishing pole like a proper angler. It's update time. Let's go.
Funding for this video is provided by viewers like you.
Vintage Story gets a couple of updates a year, which for a game of this size is amazing. Looking for help playing or maybe just hunting for more Vintage Story content? I've included links at the top of this video and in the description to all my guides and play videos. The list of updates is huge for Vintage Story 1.22. I'm going to highlight the big changes as well as some of my favorites. Remember, this is not the end-all list. Here we go. Okay, so not to be a buzzkill at the start, but let's talk about what's not going to be included in this update. Rivers soon? It looks as if they've been working hard to get these implemented in the world gen, but it's a big haul and it's gonna need more time. There was mention of an effects and heating overhaul. I'm really looking forward to this addition. Heated greenhouses when? When I read they were going to add elevators, I was surprised. This doesn't seem like it would fit in the game, but I'm very excited to see how it progresses. Maybe in the next update? Alright, enough of what's not going to be in the game. Let's get to what's new. The biggest change in this update is fish and fishing. In the last update, we saw a ton of fish added to the world, and in this update, it's all about eating those fish. There are 20 new fish scattered throughout the world. Fish will now only spawn in bigger bodies of water, so no more pond fishing. When melee attacking a fish, they will run away from you. When a fish dies, it will no longer sink, but instead float on the surface. It looks as though the fish will not be infinite in a body of water, which means you can deplete the stock of fish by overfishing. There's no mention so far as to if the fish will breed or if over time the fish will return to the area. I'm guessing there's a mechanic for this, but we'll see. How do we get fish, you may ask? Well, you'll craft a fishing rod and then bait the rod and catch the fish, just like in real life. It looks as though there are now worms, which will be your main bait. And yes, you can catch fish without bait, but it takes a bit longer. You can now cook fish whole on the fire. And yes, you can still cut them up into fillets and add them to your cook pot. Yum! One last thing with fish, you can taxidermy them and mount them on the wall to show your friends. My question? Can we get a singing fish? There have been changes to the forge in the game to include a graphical upgrade. These changes bring more realism and complexity to the metalworking process, and I'm all for it. The way fuel is handled in the forge has been updated, no more universal fuel to heat. They've also added bellows to the game. They come in 3 different variations and are so cool looking. Also, I love that sound. Vintage Story now has a quenching mechanic. You can now improve the power and durability of tools and weapons by dropping them into water. This process is a bit more complex than simply dipping them in the water. I'll be making a full guide for this process as we get a little closer to release. A fun addition in this update is that ice now melts, so when you throw a hot item onto lake ice, it will cool it down and melt the ice. I've been waiting for this for so long. I love it. There's a new grinding wheel that will be used to buff your tools and weapons. You can now sharpen blade weapons. These sharpened weapons will add critical hit chance at the cost of durability. The last change for metalworking is the addition of tong durability. No more endless wooden tongs. Oh, guess what? Now you can craft metal tongs, which have much greater durability. Look at all those fancy tongs. This next section is a grab bag of updates and changes touching on just about every part of the game. They have added the ability to place chiseled blocks on sailboats. Yep, now you can have your own figurehead. There is a new small lantern. Very cute. With this addition comes a rebalance of how lanterns are made. The original large lantern now costs twice the glass and metal. Cool. Now even more reason to get that Helvhammer up and running early. You can finally make spears from iron and steel. They also updated all the spear models and they look amazing. There are pot pies in the game now. Yep, you can mix meat and veg. Yum. They've added new farmable crops and flowers. Fennel and licorice have been added for use in fishing. The new flowers include bluebells, mugworts, ghost pipes, and daffodils. All very pretty. There are 8 new varieties of mushrooms. The names are on the screen now. What a great name. Laughing Jim. Some mushrooms now have a chance to take you on a wild trip. When eaten, you'll see a visual side effect. All the glass textures have been updated. Full blocks now have a smaller frame, and all glass blocks now have textured glass reflections. So shiny. Our favorite ceramic oil lamps have an updated model. Bad news all, they're no longer made from bowls. This is such a big change to the early lighting game. I absolutely love the new hanging wall model. It's so good looking. The Windmill is getting a new larger version in this update, as well as the ability to have an in-wall mechanical power axle. Windmills now cause turbulence, which sounds fun but means there is now a 15-block distance required between two maxed windmills. Watch that collision. They've added a water wheel, but it's early days and it's not working in the current build. It will need to be placed on flowing water to operate, which is to say rivers can't come soon enough. All held bags that are placed on the ground can now be interacted with. This is such a big change. You can now grab stuff out of your bag on the ground. This also means it acts as another storage option. They've added a crowbar to the game for when you need to break into a car. Okay, so maybe someday, but for now, it helps you remove recently added support beams from a block. It does make it so much easier to remove the beams. You can now bulk place metal bits on the ground. Oh my God, thank you. Have a whole pie in your bag? You can now slice pie using a knife in the crafting grid. Shovels can be used to dig up cattail roots faster than using a knife. Great addition. They have removed the 1-second delay on picking up mined items. I know this is something that bothered a lot of people, so I'm happy to see this in the update. The collapsed chests in ruins now fall apart into chest rubble when they're emptied. This is a nice addition, but the polar opposite of what I was hoping for. I really want to be able to put items back into the chest. Instead, we get rubble. There are a ton of new interactions added to the game. Here are a few that caught my eye. Your trusty oil lamp can now be stored on the ground. They can be placed in fours and mixed with other items. There are some new ground interactions that simplify crafting. You can now scrape ground-placed soaked hides. You can carve bone flutes, shear parchment out of small scraped hides, and you can smash ore chunks on the ground using a hammer. I love all of these. They have increased the stack size of sticks, cattails, and papyrus. These piles now hold 2 to 3x more items. There is a mess of gameplay changes and fixes. The list is outrageously long. Here are just a few of my favorites. Your favorite grain crops now have half the yield in grain and fiber, but spawn in patches twice as large during world generation. The net effect is requiring larger fields for the equivalent grain production compared to previous versions. This change was high on my wish list. Something that always made me chuckle was taking a hot axe head and crafting it into a cool axe head. Well, you can no longer craft stuff from hot items. They've changed the way the fire pit deals with heating. Now, when a stack of items in the fire pit finishes cooking, one item no longer resets the temperature of the input stack. The trade-off is that a stack's warm-up time is now longer for larger stack sizes. I'll take it. Have you always wanted more items to throw at bears? Me too. Bricks, stone bricks, and refractory bricks are all now throwable. The search in the handbook has always been just okay. Honestly, if you knew the right word to search, you could find anything. In the latest update, the handbook search is more flexible with better results. I really hope this is true. The sleek wooden doors have received a visual update. These doors now have a glass pane and have a smoother and more bespoke texture. Fancy. They have updated the iron and steel pickaxe models. Oh, I like the way that looks. This one is big. The stone path stairs and slabs now extend 1 voxel below ground to cover the gap that can be left by regular path blocks. Also, the stone path textures will now use wildcards to randomize their texture. Very nice. The ladder models have been tweaked. Wooden ladders now come in every color of the rainbow. Ladders that are made entirely of sticks have their own model, separate from ladders made with planks. Crude ladders cannot support themselves on the ground or the ceiling and require a wall for support. There's a lot more water flowing down the side of mountains and hills. I didn't see this in the notes, but it is a noticeable and wonderful change. The pigs got themselves a visual update, and they look wonderful. Bears next, please. There have been extensive changes and updates to the game's API. The list is long, and there's some great changes in here. What does it mean for us as players? A lot of broken mods. Finally on my list, I've been asking for it forever, and it's finally here. You can craft a snow shovel to keep those paths clear of snow. And speaking of snow, they fixed the bug that I thought was part of the game. Now when cutting snow-covered grass with a knife, it will yield dry grass. Amazing. There you have it, my short list of big changes coming in the next update to Vintage Story. Is there an update I missed that you're excited about? Share it with me in the comments. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you soon. The video's over. Now it's time for you to do your part. Follow, like, and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.